Good day. This is Regina. I can't figure out how to get the periscope camera to go in the other direction, which is really wild because I can't see. Hmm. Social structures and gang stalking. Didn't pick it up. All right, going live on Periscope too. Good day. This is Regina's Rabbit Hole for those on Periscope. All right, so what are we talking about? A conundrum. A riddle, kind of like. In the avenue of Stockholm syndrome, psychology, social structures. Okay. The gang stalking. Now, and just in general, what am I saying? There are times in life when there are people perfectly willing to change, to do things differently. But it seems like you can't move. To others, it might seem like they don't want to move. They don't want to change. You can take different groups within our social dynamics that we do this with when it comes to personality profiling, right? So you might say about this person or this dynamic, this group, why don't they change that? What is wrong with them? They have a choice. It's 2018. This is about deferment. It's about magic. It's about illusion. It's about grammar. It's about glamour. It's about cutting off the aha, the conception of thought that allows you to be aware of particular behaviors that can change the way we all interact and see things. So we've been squared in, boxed in, marginalized in our minds to look at things in life in a particular way. I'm going to use myself as an example. As a woman, there are certain ways that I used to look at self in order to fit into society. And if you deviate from that within certain social structures, you're kind of cast out and put aside, like too opinionated, uh, too vibrant in one direction. That's being misconstrued because other people have been programmed with things in their minds about how they should perceive certain types of interaction, right? With social programming and social behavior, we're talking about mind control. I grew up looking at certain cartoons and certain shows, and they had the woman depicted in a particular way. And when you're looking at something, we can look at things to learn. We mimic what we see. We might see things that we don't want, and we see things that we do want. Now, we know that the imagery has been warped. Why it's important to keep showing. If I was going to build a society, I would be showing positive images of people because I would want to promote them being the healthiest selves that they could be. So I would want to project that image that you too could be it. Okay? When people advertise and they want to let you know that anybody can do it, they might put something silly like even an idiot can do it. And that way they raise the bar, you know? It's that simple. It's easy. Even an idiot can do it. Even a baby can do it. Even a child can do it, you know? So when it comes to social programming and sociology, we get what we're asking for, and certain things are put on a platter for us to take, and it looks like a choice and a selection, but it's not. If you can only have this and you choose not to have this and you want something on the outside of that and you're not allowed to have it. Okay. And that's what I see is going on with different social groups, you know, whether it's a matter of race or gender or economics or education or secret organization, you know, because they have these tiers where I'm allowed to know this much and I feel I have authority and I have an understanding of it. And so I'm willing to carry out whatever it is that I'm supposed to do. And someone else actually knows more, you know, and has three people doing the same thing, cultivating that agenda, and three different social category groups and dynamics, because all that energy is going to come back to them, and they're the one that knows where is that result of that movement going. Okay, so as a woman, I can see how the suppression of thought or movement would happen in like the leakage in the educational system. We know about when you look at sociology and stuff, how girls are less likely to be picked in class when they raise their hand or given certain types of attention, you know, in regards to mathematics being cultivated or not, you know, and certain skills, certain problem solving skills, you know, that are usually handed over to men that women can actually use, you know, not something like lifting tires or, you know, I don't know, lifting tires, but, you know, machinery and stuff. Not women, women do that now, But I'm talking about stuff that we can actually use. These dynamics can be very intricate. They are very intricate. Okay, so that's just a small thing with education. But then you take the glass ceiling, where you see how statistics, I'm just stating stuff that's already in the matrix, that's just common knowledge, okay? Using my social dynamic as an easy thing I can come up with in the forefront of my mind for explaining what I'm talking about, okay? The money in the workplace is different than men. So that's another statement, okay? But it's in the background. And now you have two different areas giving you the same statement that your value is not as much, right? And then you may go for counseling or therapy within a construct that is dominated by a particular type of thought, you know. Uh, Say you go to counseling at Catholic Families Charities or something, or your minister or something like that. Um, you're still subject to certain things that they feel, that they perceive, that they've been indoctrinated with in regards to gender. Okay? So we all have those different things going on that can be used as a way to block off what it is that that person is trying to do. So it doesn't have to be me, but just any woman in general dealing with those dynamics. Yeah, have that in your mind. And when it comes to universal law of attraction, correspondence, when it comes to cognitive dissonance, how can I ignore that that stuff is actually there, even though I need to focus on what it is that I actually want? Still being hit with those other particular dynamics. Okay, and that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. All right. So whether it's because you're a Latino, or whether it's because you're an Arab, a Muslim, and you dress a particular way, and that's getting you scrutinized, or because you're a black man, and that's getting you scrutinized. There are particular dynamics that are placed there in society to cause stressors. But when you look, all of the energy is still going to one particular place so that they can move the consciousness of society in a particular direction. That's where the social programming comes in. So whatever group you come from, you wake up, you find yourself so-called woke, conscious, more aware than you were yesterday of some of the stuff that's going on in our world, right? And you may find that although you want to make things better and move forward and change your social dynamics so that you feel healthier or safer, that you can move wiser or share better, you may find that you can't because there's other people with things that they've been indoctrinated with placed before you in your mind, and they're like the Smiths, okay, and that movie The Matrix. An alarm goes off and they feel like, because I have to watch it in me. There's certain times when an alarm goes off and a person, I have to watch myself. You may not be trying to rock my boat because I'm a woman or because I'm a black woman. You may just be having a bad day and that's the way you interact with people. But because that's on my mind, perhaps that's what I'm thinking. And that's how I would dictate and interpret what I see. Good day. You know, So anybody that's awake right now, who's going through the gang stalking, I really feel for you, because I believe, it is definitely part of the spiritual war that we're in. If we're flipping, changing, revelations revealing, if you use the Bible, you know, um, and even with astrology, the planetary alignment and awakening that has been allotted to happen right now. A lot of the gates are open and the alignments of the planet to where the energy can come in there. When there's a full moon, there's still a tide. What is, and there's certain things like the sun comes up every morning and sets in the eve. And the spring, the trees come alive and the birds make babies, right? The trees make air, and women make children. And there's certain things that are consistent. What I'm saying is those things that are just are. But we have forces or spirits or people with mindsets that believe that they have a right to change certain things. And it's weird because you can change things, because there's always that pull there. You can change things for the better, but that's usually mutually beneficial. But then you have to remember that one man's solution is another man's problem. But what were they doing? And how am I perceiving what they were doing? All that is determined by spirit. So what I'm saying, a lot of this stuff has been corrupted and governed by people who should not be. And judgment. Oh, sweetie. The birdie just flew right into the window, but he's okay. Oh. Okay. As if keeping my train of thought wasn't difficult enough, I had a kamikaze little birdie. What I'm saying is our societies run in a particular way. And we know from watching television and from going to wherever we go to pray and worship and get educated, what is normal and what isn't. We're told what's valuable and what isn't. We are programmed to know what's going to get you in trouble and ruffle people's feathers and what isn't. And we begin as we grow up and we start to decide what we would like to do with ourselves, to know where those spaces are. Some stuff is called a cardinal rule. Like, it's not written down anywhere, but you know. And if you behave in a certain way, you'll have social sanctions, right? So they're not written down. It's just like people just won't bother with you if you're doing certain things, if you're behaving certain ways. And that's where rumors and innuendo can really get someone in trouble. And what they do, these gang stalkers, right? Whether they know it or not, like they might only know a little small piece. They might not be the ones sending out other little soldiers or pressing electronic devices to scramble your thought process, or make you feel ill, or mess up your internet, your Wi-Fi, or mess with your spell check when you put something in a box and that you did your spell check and you spelled it right, and then you let it go and you look, and it's not right, or you set up your camera equipment with music and everything, and then you go back and it's not lining up. You can't hear the person, or you can't hear the music, or you're diligent and you look past those things and you continue to move on. And then you have unnecessary copyright stuff going on, like that it doesn't make any sense at all that someone would not be allowed to dance to music. The little petty stuff. Music is made to dance to. I thought that's advertisement alone, to pick someone's music to dance to for an anniversary, a party, a celebration, just to enjoy, just to nod your head to meditate with. And so gradually, as you wake up and you go to share some of the things that you learn, you might find that people mess with you and that these things happen. You might find that you're part of the gang stalking program. You might find that you're in the middle of some weird conundrum, some juggernaut, where you're sitting someplace asking for help, or you're supposed to be able to get help, like some self-help groups. And you know that what you want most is to be able to trust people, to feel safe, to actually have some place where people are not going to mess with you, where you can actually make a difference. And you're not going to get that because it's been infiltrated by them. And so they cough and they make their noises and they say their statements that let you know that they have an inside scoop into your life, maybe into your very bedroom. They might even know what underpants you have on today. Who knows what your situation is. And through all that, you hold your head up. You might not even have anyone to speak to around you, because that's what it is isolation. And there's no other groups or organizations around you to help you hold that weight. So you have to wait. And it's antagonistic. I'm finding it antagonistic, but I still have to deal with it. Because if you flex in the wrong way, it's counterproductive, right? It's that Nazi paperclip stuff. Darned if you do, darned if you don't. It's the terror, knowing that no matter what direction you go in, somebody's still going to mess with you. You can't get it right. They're on a mission to keep pushing that button. And your misery is like Scooby snacks. Part of it is spiritual. Part of it is spells and magic. Those paper cabals, your social security number, date of birth, the straw man stuff that they have going on. When I did research, I came across something called the straw man. Realized that they make money. The thing is so deep, it's still trying to figure out how to freak you copy somebody and make money off of them and have a whole separate account for their affairs, but they don't have any for their own. Incredible. So people are pushed into spaces where some of them get so frustrated with the harassment, they end up homeless, they end up mentally ill, or they think they are. Some people don't even know what's happening to them. That happened to me years ago. I didn't know. So as I'm forced to see harassers daily and be harassed daily and interact, force myself to interact in kind of a state of shock and diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and anxiety, I still have to interact with people. And as you move forward to do that, there's not going to be anything there to change. They're not going to change. They're going to be there coughing and making their statements and beeping their horns and messing with your internet and trying desperately to make you look, to discredit you and make you look crazy as you put together all these different dynamics to explain yourself and why you haven't moved forward. How can you allow someone to help you when you're looking at them in the eye and you know that they're a part of the program? How do you not see what you see? I mean, I've gone places and tried to start, and then they'll start their stuff, and then it's like the rug is pulled out from underneath me. At this point, sometimes I just kind of wig out and I don't want to deal with them at all when I start hearing the fine details and the echoes of what's personally going on in my life, like things that I ate or things that are close to me that I know can only be a part of this program, not just some nonchalant, by the way, conversation. And I'm being herded into sections where I have to ask for help or get help from the very people that are messing with me. I already came from that. I'm an incest survivor. You know, growing up in homes and stuff too, off and on, group homes. And then from there, in and out of mental hospitals, where I finally heard this voice from our creator. This voice was floating on the trees. I was smoking a cigarette and I was in some cuckoo house, and I had earned my rights to go out and smoke on grounds. And I was sitting there looking at the tree, and this voice said to me, my daughter likes hearing this, but I don't like telling it. Because I like telling things to the right people, because not everybody's going to understand what it is that you're going through. There was this voice, and there was this clouds going by, and it said, they're going to kill you. They don't know what they're doing. All that medication, because the medication gives you side effects. And I did anything from this Thorazine shuffle to cod willing, this thing where you drool and your neck rotates around. Tell me how that makes you feel sane. So that you don't ask questions and you stay put. They give it to killers and stuff like that when they claim that they're insane. I had never hurt nobody, but they used to give me a whole bunch of crazy stuff. Haldol. The medications they used to give people back 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Treacherous. And they still do. Trying to think of some of the medications. Oh my gosh. A lot of them are being sued right now. There's lawsuits and stuff like that for stuff that they keep using. I'm like, want to go into naming medications and stuff, but I don't really want to go into that direction with the pharmaceuticals. The point that I'm trying to make is this voice let me know that they were going to kill me with all their freaking guinea pig. They used me as a guinea pig. And I wasn't getting better. And I was just years in and out of their system. And I didn't see that somebody was pushing a button. I didn't see that they were using voice to skull technology on me. I didn't know. I didn't know that it was a lot easier to control somebody when you just checked yourself in, turned yourself in, and let them give you a pill. Let them give you a tune-up, whatever the heck they be doing. People go in and they don't come out the same. Our Creator is great. So I started looking for alternatives for the anxiety and the post-traumatic stress disorder. I started looking for alternatives to help me concentrate, to help me meditate, to give me positive affirmations so that I could move forward, so that I could feel sane, so that I could feel grounded, so that I could feel worthy, so that I could feel okay inside. No matter how scrambled I was up here, this don't lie. I couldn't figure out, why is it that you want to do better and you feel that you want to do better, but you just don't feel like you can reach that maximus, right? They say, I don't care where you go, but you can't stay here. We talk about growing, changing. Why don't you leave? Why don't you go if you don't like where you are? Nobody is keeping you there. What if you go to the shelters and for some strange reason, you end up kicked out on the very day that you were supposed to get whatever it was that you needed to start over? Handed your belongings in your hand, along with your tush, to move on because somebody doesn't like your attitude, because you weren't humble enough. You didn't grovel enough. You were too opinionated. And you stood up for yourself when somebody else was bothering you. Sometimes I don't know when to keep my mouth shut, I guess. How much does a person, they pile things, many more things on top of you than necessary so that they cave in and you must speak. Or you turn into some kind of nanobot, you turn into one of them. I don't know. And another time, I went and a woman was trying to kick me out in the middle of the freaking night. And her ego was so big that it was important for her to shuffle me around in the middle of the night, like I was going to do something because I was in the wrong place, a wrong room, which nobody else messed with me about, with all the staff that was there. She's the night staff, the middle of the night person, and her who likes to get off on people. And it was noted in her personality. They were like, oh, stay away from her. Okay. But I just happened to get up in the middle of the night and bump into her. And I wasn't really accepting on what she was saying. She was really rude and really mean and chastising at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. When you already came from a situation arguing with someone, you don't want to go to the place that's supposed to be safe and have that person with the same kind of ego and consonance as the male that you just left, because the domestic shelter is over full and you're trying to get your head together. And the overflow is some regular shelter with some woman that's on an ego trip bothering you. I mean, I'm finding that our society has been employing particular kind of people into positions where they enjoy harassing. It's like the pedophile who is the camp scout guy or the minister that we hear about, you know, that you learn to be weary of. The cop who was the bully at school, no different than perhaps the one that was loose being the stripper, or the one online with the button you can push as you slide your credit card in or something. I don't know. Like we all have certain behaviors that this machine we call the matrix is eating in order to feed itself. The teacher who doesn't get her fair say at home or in her church or community, so she lets loose at school, on unsuspecting children. She feeds her ego and treats them like crap because it feels good, you know. Then you add on this gang stalking program that seems to be aware of certain dynamics, and they use them. They're using them to move this energy from one side to the other and playing us like yo-yos, you know. She doesn't work. She's lazy. These are the messages I'm getting. No, I don't work. First of all, I want to, but every time I go out there, my post-traumatic stress disorder kind of gets agitated because they be out there messing with me, echoing stuff that I'm going on in my world in private. It's supposed to be private, but there's no privacy. So I have to accept that I have to accept electronic harassment. I have to accept that there's actually cameras and stuff where there shouldn't be, and there's nothing I can say about it, nothing I can do about it. I have to accept that I'm being harassed right in front of other people, and there's nothing that I can do about it because, first of all, they would have to even catch up to a lot of the information, that we have here already. They would have to catch up to a lot of the information that I've already studied to be able to even keep up with what the heck I'm talking about. So when I go to move, there's literally other people there piling stuff on where it's being presented or looking like I'm not actually utilizing the universal laws and acting on my own behalf. And when I do, I get discouraged. So then I be kind of laid back. Like, you know what? Just not going to do it at all. And I'm learning to follow my design, human design, where you can learn, what the best option to do in certain situations. The serenity prayer, God gave me the courage to change the things I can and the wisdom to know the difference. I call God creator, and I honor fire, water, earth, air, and ether, and the full elemental zodiac, all of us, all is self. We're supposed to be here for each other. Whether we like it or not, the stuff that I do affects you. One man's junk is another man's treasure. Hopefully your crap will be my fertilizer and not you're fertilizing me with crap. See, stuff is backwards. Don't fertilize me with crap. I'm going to be so cool about my ish that my crap is fertilizer. Okay? Like the goat, like the cow. I'm tired of the bull. Where do you go? What do you do? Oh, you're having the harassment too. There's a lady on here. I feel for you. Yeah, we're going through an awful lot. I really do feel for you. If there was a thing called hell, this would be it. This would be it. That your efforts get turned inside out and look differently, presented different than what they actually are. For that's the way that universal law is bent. So on one hand, they're doing spells where it's kind of like the fallen, where the spirit is kind of like you can see move through people, whether it's an agenda or whether they like French fries. You know, they're all hooked on that brand or whatever, or an agenda in their heart where they don't like black people, or they don't like opinionated women, or maybe they don't like Latinos, or we don't like white people. Whatever it is, it clouds, you know, and allows for that individual to be used and swayed in certain directions, where you'll tend to not do certain things instead of doing them, or vice versa. I'll tend to not do certain things now instead of doing them because of certain behavior. And it's social programming. That's human behavior. It's sociology. Like there's certain group dynamics that can be manipulated. They're targeted for marketing, advertisement, you know, foods and beverages and everything else. We're not asking men if they want tampons. So we're aware that there's certain group dynamics. You can target certain individuals, right? You want me to think your wings are better and it breathes and ooh, yeah. Okay. Keeps you dry. You want me to think they're evil and scandalous and they don't have a right to speak their opinion, and I need to cover my stuff up when they start showing up, and then you make sure that there's nothing within their communities to change that dynamic at all. Nothing there for them to see, visualize, experience, dream about. Things are being designed. Manipulated. I enjoy studying psychology, group dynamics, sociology. Abnormal psychology is one of my favorites because clearly, you know, that's just about where you are located. You know, like I'm on Periscope. I'm also on YouTube. You know, and Periscope reaches the entire world. And I'm hoping that this is going to be awesome and that you can understand what I'm saying to you. Yeah, so the riddle was for people like us, people who are be gifted. That's right, I can move on now. People who be gifted, you know, to be awake at this glorious freaking time. Can you believe it? It's the end of the world as we know it. Thank goodness. Not doom and gloom and destruction, but the ability, if you can last through all the different distractions and stuff that they put in our way so that we can't speak and teach and share and make holistic therapeutic environments. Ashe. You know, to be able to share what it is that the creator gives you information other than what is the regular protocol. Like when the cloud was floating by and a tree was speaking to me and said, They're going to kill you if you don't do something different. And I listened. It was such a profound moment. Now, I have had moments where there was stuff talking to me. Obviously, that's why I was there. But this particular time, I freaking listened and I just relaxed and let it talk. I stopped listening to people tell me that I should not listen. And I listened, and it told me they're trying to kill you. And you know what? That freaking voice was right. Not in a way, see, that's where it looks funny, right? Not in a way where it's giving you choice, right? Choice to eat the things that set you off, like sugar, choosing to watch the things that make you feel uncomfortable, like Freddy Krueger. I mean, I used to love those movies with the dreams and stuff like that. Jason, desensitize myself to murder, right? And gore and just stupidity and nastiness. Involve myself around other people who've done the same thing, desensitize themselves, to whether I'm hurting somebody's feelings. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we can do. And it's all a part of the social programming. All right. Before I get any more lost in trying to explain, now this is going to seem even weirder, okay? Why are they doing all this? Why can one little old person, all right? A lot of us haven't even been able to accomplish doing anything yet. And some of us have. It really, the dynamics are different. It depends. Don't get mixed up in that. Just like erase the race and gender thing from your mind when it comes to this thing here about this new start. What if I told you we were dealing with time loops? Something I was writing. Activity has been causing fractures in space we call time. People are having their memories erased as they are used in government programs or moved through the timelines. Others are being stalked, killed for whistleblowing on things which connect. They're like fractals to the bigger issues and more. Stuff like Pizzagate, disappearing children, and organ donations, and the climate, and where chemtrails coming from, like all these different pieces. What are they doing in the Atlantic? Yada, 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 all these stories, right? Okay, so basically, you've heard of the different blood types and stuff like that. In my research, there's like certain groups of people that you find, no matter what color you are, that have particular blood types. And they need these people. I believe that these people are able to move consciousness and sway the consciousness grid, the web, in a particular way, much like a computer operates. We operate, only we're not seeing it on this grander scale. But like I said, we may just be, or you may just be a little pawn acting out on behavior or acting out on incentive because you were paid, you were threatened, because you believe whatever to hold your position or to be a Smith or not, right? Or someone else is actually puppeteering that mess on purpose. And even with them, they only know why they're doing it only so much because it's feeding something that they need for the type spirit, okay, or the type of individual that they are. And there's when you get this tier thing going on where you get leaders and then you get, they have workers and, president and, stuff like that. How we get this thing that looks and society the way that it looks. Okay. You're getting certain types of people that are holding positions and they're feasting off of others who are unaware. See, they can't have a world without certain type of blood. It's like alchemy, hence the human design and the R and H negative blood types and stuff we were talking about. Um, it's some type of alchemy, which is like a sorcery or a magic. And back to the words again. Playing with the words is so necessary to keep playing with your head. Satan came to kill, steal, and destroy, you know. Be careful of the voices of Shaitan and voice to skull technology, right? Uh, the programming and the things that we are indoctrinated with visually that we want to believe are really true. But is it really true? Did you stop and talk to any of those individuals on your own? Did we check in on some of these messages that we're getting about ourselves or about anyone else? Did we put ourselves to the test? Was it tested with fire? You know, are you really a person that loves or not? Okay. So, people who know about sigils and glyphs and words being glamour and grammar, they're bending the use of the universal laws by way of brainwashing and mind control, social programming, constructed of social services, religion, education, judicial systems like the police enforces it. Certain groups are kept in lifestyles where they cannot progress. Okay, that's where the stalking program comes in, so they can reinforce the messages and the imagery, not so much for us, but for you, so that you keep feeling like these images are true. Okay? Niggas is this, wops are that, rednecks are this, chinks are that, towel heads are this. Now I hit everybody. Okay? I think. If I didn't, I don't think that you'll be too angry, will you? Because they're all lovely and they all get labeled and it all depends on your perception. What I'm calling on is from within each space, those like myself, right? So I don't got to test your fire, the creator will. Okay, so yeah, they use these different systems, and that's where the stalking program comes in, so they can reinforce, the image of certain dynamics, the social programming, so that they can keep doing it. No one person or group knows everything. Meaning, it's easy to manipulate certain social groups with particular programming, using the social dynamics and programming to oppose one another secretly on their behalf. Okay, that's why it says that energy is still going somewhere. They use money as a deferment. Money is a deferment away from what nature freely gives when there are no obstacles or illusions. Okay, when there are no obstacles or illusions being reinforced being used as reinforcement. Um, there's the law of the land, which is our court and judicial system, which is overshadowing and mimicking, taking the place of natural law, universal law, or natural law that you just live. Okay? And then when you expand, you go into universal law, but not into the bending of universal law in a way that's counterproductive, for your neighbor, for the environment, itself that's sustaining you. You know, I was listening to Bobby Hemmett, and he had this thing where he was talking about the story with Dr. Yaqus, the Muslim story of the creation of the Caucasian in the Caucasus Mountain. There was a story, and whether you believe it or not, I'm just referring to the big head, two big heads. One came from one environment where he looked at life. He had a support system, and he was like, you know what? I'm going to fix the mess that this other guy did who had a big head, but he came from a negative life message, and he couldn't get over it. You know, he really wanted vengeance, and that was his disposition. And so he created this thing called technology. And darn if that doesn't sound a lot like what's going on today. Technology. You know, the manipulation of words and sounds, you know, how music and the very recording frequency went from, I don't want to say the exact one, so you quote me on it, you know, but it was changed, you know, it was changed a fraction, you know, music, so that's some deep stuff right there. But we respond to sound because we're made up of over 70% water. So if you play a chord and somebody is made of mostly water, you're going to have a response to it. Our environment does have a direct result on stimulating us or not, and in which way that we are stimulated or not. And that's how we respond to certain things we feel, even within an environment, if we're not desensitized by Freddy Krueger movies to the degree where you can't feel anything anymore, or you're told you're stupid for feeling anything anymore because you've seen too many of your brothers get shot in the street, and you got to push on. So now you're desensitized because you gotta choke it up. You have to deal with it. You got to go out there and move. Forget your post-traumatic stress disorder. Are you kidding me? This is what you live in every day. Every day. You live in a place where what you think and feel and your state of mind is not adequate. It's not the par. It's not acceptable. Unless it fits in with what was already there. That's keeping us stuck. Below is a section of informative videos. Okay. In reference to this paragraph. Yeah, I got some videos here. Check out the Montauk Pool. Check out the Law of 44 with Red and Blue Pill on Black Magic 363. Check out, yeah, you can check out that. Okay, that'll feed you some of the stuff that I'm talking about. Okay, now I can see you again. I was reading. All right, so this is Regina's Rabbit Hole, and that is the reason why I believe. That was a big one, right? And I just said it like it was nothing. Yeah. They got to keep certain DNA here, okay? And they have to keep certain social groups and dynamics here, a certain balance. It's an alchemy. And so, all right, what computer? I'm sure there's a computer that has all the dates of births and social security numbers and stuff like that, right? So that means that all the personalities and stuff are coded. If you look at human design, that was a big tell. Thankful for that. Spirit showing up and giving Ra that information. Nice charts and stuff right there. You know, similar to having your charts and stuff done, your astrology chart done, you know, and knowing where you sit out there. Things are coded, is what I'm getting at. So if it's a science and we're just waking up and they've been using this for quite a long time, Definitely, they got it down to a nice little alchemy, right? Until the planetary alignment happened and the rays of the sun became more expansive, right? And the planet is waking up, and there are certain types of carbonated beings that are responding to the planet itself, the consciousness of the planet. Certain things cannot be eradicated. Like I said, water is water and air is air, and that tree over there is a tree, and women give birth. Certain things are gonna be, it's like the grid work for this matrix that can't be changed. And that's why they're either manipulating people, switching people through time and changing their memory, cloning them, and making sure that their aura, uh, is there in a way, like a glow. Because I wouldn't suspect that. I don't know. I can't say that I know exactly how that works. The quantum field exactly. You know, uh, some weird stuff. Visions and things like that that I'd be having to deal with. Um, some of these timelines, take for instance how the soil has been depleted of a lot of the nutrients, at least for the last 70 years, right? So stuff like that. But we still have trees and we're still making food. Where is the stuff? Like I get supplements and I wonder where the supplements coming from. Yeah, how much of that does it actually take to build what it is that we're looking for if it's not coming from the ground and the ground is being depleted from that? And you have to put it back in. There's a turning going on, you know. Um, if nothing ever dies and it only transfers, there's a turning going on. And so there's literally going back and forth at this point through the timelines. I'm thinking of the toroidal field, um, Taurus energy, and the way that it moves. Black hole energy, like pushing through the other side of your belly button. Um, Not like a slinky, but like a slinky turned inside out too, right? Um, the shifting of wheat and tares being doled out. I know this sounds crazy as hell. Doled out into different timelines and perspectives according to who we are. Yeah, according to who we are in our nature. That's what's happening right now. Okay. Um, and the attempt of certain individuals to escape their fate, escape the energy that they put in, because energy doesn't die, it only transfers. So if you stop, if we're waking up and they can't suck from this end, then there's a plug over there somewhere, right? It's the energy is shifting. There's a changing, they say a changing of the guard, right? Of the consciousness field. So if you're piling stuff on top of an individual where they can't think and they can't feel, they can't grow, they're in dis-ease. They're in a state of dis-ease, discord, a state of 911, red square. When you notice that other environments are more peaceful, it's almost like looking at the fragments of what I'm saying by way of perception. You see certain gated communities or suburban settings rural areas, back roads, plenty of trees and animals and things like that, right? And then you take the noisy hustle bustle and rigmarole of the city with all its concrete and cars honking and people a bit agitated due to the corresponding environment and the hustle and bustle, right? Um, so it's physical and it's spiritual. It's stuff that we're saying to each other. It's the programming. It's the corresponding environment. It's the reinforcement. It's the illusion. It's the glamour. It's the grammar of it all. And for those of us who are peeping it, not only do they definitely put stuff in your way to be preventative, but they pile stuff on top of you so you feel weighed down too, with all the corresponding frequencies, like the literally, using frequencies, voice to skull, radar, uh, electronic harassment, making people sick with, you know, with, devices, and, it gets real. It gets real ugly. And so to explain this, as you can see, is a conundrum, a juggernaut, a cluster. And what can you do? I learn and I utilize those things that my creator is giving me to utilize, in the same way that I started on my journey to figure out how to heal myself when I was 287 pounds, not able to bend over or concentrate. And I felt like total crap. Found myself smoking a cigarette, looking up at some freaking tree with a cloud going by. That's some voice I'd been running from for quite a long time. I was told, don't listen to my ancestors. Listen to the preacher. Listen to the teacher. Listen to the counselor. Listen to the doctor. Listen to your mother. All indoctrinated by some other thing. And I'm not saying all those things are bad. I'm not. There are people who take up professions because they genuinely want to help. They really want to be there to make a difference in a direction that's mutually beneficial. They enjoy doing it. They get paid for doing it. And, as the community, we're happy to have them there because they enjoy doing it. They want to do it, help. We're happy, to see them there getting paid for that job. You know what I'm saying? More of that. I've had this really cool cop let me go. One day I was on a bus and this sister was being silly. She was following out her social programming. She happened to be driving a bus. And she was trying to kick me off the bus, and it shouldn't have been happening. I refused to get off the bus because she was wrong, knowing that it could all go wrong. This is our creator now, okay? And this is being aware that there are people standing next to you that are not like that as well. So I'm sitting there, and she just knows that something's going to rip a hole in me, and that's what she wants. And I'm telling her, you know what you're doing is nothing more than that self-hate stuff. You're feeling bad about yourself, and you're just giving me a hard time because you don't love yourself. You don't like yourself. And you're using your position as a way to to mess with me. I think you're having a hard time in general dealing with you. And the only way you can do that is to lash out on something else. It was just one of those days, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, the cop showed up and he asked her, what do you want to do? And she wants me off the bus. She wants me arrested. The supervisor has showed up, oh my gosh, to the bus company waiting for the cop. And then he looked at me. He said, what would you like to do? And I'm going to tell you, I was scared. I didn't know what was going to happen. And I said, I want to go home to my children. I was just trying to get home to my children when this lady was abusing her disposition with this bus. She could have gave me a bus pass to get home. I did put my bus pass in there, and she was trying to make it seem like I was a degenerate and I was trying to get a free ride on the bus. That's what she was doing. I needed to get off the bus because I was on the wrong route now and have her change my bus pass. It was something very simple she could have did. But instead, she spoke for the character that as if I was trying to do something wrong when her supervisor showed up and really acted out. And him, how they have he's a white man and she's a black woman. She's driving this bus, but you could tell right away, he took her word for what she was doing, and she was doing some mess. She was just having a bad day and knew that she could lash out on me, and I wasn't going for it. So she had to go the whole 9 now. And other people were witnessing this nasty thing here. And I guess I could have backed down and got off the bus and walked home. But I was just so angry that she was behaving so disgusting. And I didn't want to, I was tired. My feet hurt. And I'm not trying to do the Betsy Ross boycott thing. It wasn't even her. It was some other girl, but they didn't want to use her because she was a teenage, had a teenage pregnancy thing going on. It was about image. But anyway, I was the one on the bus this day. And it wasn't a white man. It was a black woman driving the bus. And when the white cop showed up, he asked me what did I want to do after all this yelling and energy was going like this. And I didn't know what was going to happen. And I said, I just want to go home to my children. Can you let me go home to my children, please? He said, come on. And he put me in the back. He said, okay. I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to let me go home to my children. I was just like, my heart was just like, that's when I know the Creator works. There's been some spots that have been really, really messed up. And the stuff that I'm talking about is really, really messed up. But I know that our Creator loves us, those who are a part of this thing and supposed to do something wonderful, supposed to help with the therapeutic balance of this thing, Even if your consonance is just to be the best person that you can be next to somebody else, that's cool. Instead of a pain in the neck. For real though. So anyway, he gave me a ride home and I rode in the back, and then he helped me out of the car right to my front door. And on the way off the bus, yes, I did flip her the bird. Yes, because she was looking for me to have the worst kind of day, fingerprinted and all this other stuff and go through the chaos that I did not want to be going through. So I was grateful that I didn't have to go through that. There are people who actually are in the positions that they're in, doing what they're supposed to be doing next to some other things that are very nasty, just like us, right? So when it comes to the universal laws and correspondence and stuff like that, if I'm here, then you have to be here too. There has to be other people with a corresponding frequency. So I just need to be the best person that I can be in hopes that will meet my children, my grandchildren, and myself as I go through my days. And we're going through this spiritual warfare. The time is now. It is time. The time is now for change. And I'm so grateful that I'm a part of this complex, passionate turn of energies that we're going through right now. I mean, wow. There is so much going on and so many different dynamics to explain, and none of which could be done without somebody else doing their part. I mean, if there wasn't some other research or corresponding frequency to connect the dots with what I'm saying right now, you could forget it. I dare not say it, right? As it is, it sounds resounding. It is. It's true. Time travel, archaeology, wingmakers, certain caves and underground chambers and tunnels, even take the Atlantic and the North Pole, what they're doing with the ice caps and stuff like that right now. There has been things when you start researching that have been documented that, look like teleporting devices and things like that. Outer space is inner space. It's interdimensional. It's a perception. It's a frequency. It's not the way to be perceiving it. It's from what I am told by the little voice. By the way, it's not the same one that was on that cloud floating by. It's not that one at all. It's a different one. There are different ones that you can learn to hone in on, like the higher self voice, my inner voice, the devil and the angel voice. I mean, there's just different voices. There's the ancestral voice. There's the grids, and there's many voices. There's a lot of stuff going on. People talk. There's a lot of stuff going on. And you have to be able to separate that and determine that if you're an empath and you're clairvoyant and clairaudient. All these different words for you be hearing stuff. That's the kind of stuff that they would give you medicine for. But anyway, I forgot what I was initially saying for the first time. Right, there's good people standing next to you, and we're all in this together. And that if it wasn't for you doing your part, I wouldn't be able to do mine and put together or convey. I wouldn't even be able to convey the information that I'm getting because there would be no correspondence. It's weird. Just to shout out to those who like be on the far side of things, that dive deep and that go on the outskirts, the outer rims and stuff like that. There's not as much measurement, that's why us goofy people need to stick together, because we are changing the consciousness of the grid. Yes, we are changing the consciousness of the grid. That's the whole point that I was trying to make. Because we're changing the consciousness of the grid is the reason why they're messing with you. And it's happening on parallel dimensions, like a loaf of bread sliced up and like it's cards, like a deck of cards, thrown out. And depending on the way you look at it, it's like the double split experiment. Depending on who you are and what's inside you, that's why I was using the social dynamics, what you've been indoctrinated with and programmed with. So depending on how you're looking at it, through which lens is going to determine what your objective is going to be, what your response will be, or what you pursue, what you do about what you see. And that's the programming. That's the illusion. That's where they use the words and stuff like that for trickery, And so at this time, I like to let my eyes fool myself and look at spirit and just wait for the corresponding frequencies that that I need to line up so that I know how to act. And so looks are deceiving. It may look like somebody is not doing what they need to be doing to move on, but sometimes that might be staying sane until you can move on, until the opportunities and times are there, to move on. You know, I do a lot of putting pieces together and stuff like that. Organizing has been one of the things I've found challenging. I've learned so much, and I go into so many different areas that categorizing and finding places, and the simplest things can make me seem like I'm retarded. So waiting to get good enough at what I do where I'll be able to pay somebody as a secretary, because we just gonna fly. You know what I'm saying? There's enough things that I'm learning, whatever, for it to take off. I just haven't found the right people or organized it yet. And the social dynamics of the gang stalking and the anxiety and the post-traumatic stress disorder, overcoming what I've already been through, moving into the areas where we need to be while this is flipping is emotionally. Yes, please ask a question. I apologize. I did not see it. That's the tricky part. That's the tricky part. I don't know if you're still there. I'm new at this live stream stuff. If you have the question still and you're still there, you can ask. Yeah, you're still there. You're the only person that's there, aren't you? Great. I'll answer your question if you ask it, and I can answer it. We have our first question, Periscope. That's from YouTube. I can't see your question because my equipment won't let me see that you can even see me or not. Yes, I've heard of Cyrock. I love her music. Excellent. What? She's one of my favorite artists. She's conscious artist too. Was that your question? I've even danced to some of her stuff. For those of you on Periscope, yeah, this is Regina's rabbit hole. So, I do this dance where I move energy and make these tornado fields and stuff, do visualization in my mind and do meditation in order to get rid of all the extra energy, a place to turn it and change it and work with it. And that's what you see when you see me doing my Qigong. How do you deal with people that are negative one day, nice the next? Do you ignore? If you know they have ill feelings, that can be tricky, right? You don't know whether they're hot or cold. You don't know what to do. Oh, thank you. She says, I've been watching you and that I should teach a class. I'm really working on that. That's why a lot of these things, I see your question. 1 second. Yep. A lot of these things that I'm going through have me in a state of mind where, yeah, I'm still having the good attitude and willing to learn, but I'm spending a lot of my time like, a cat, just trying to deal with the stuff coming in and regulate it. And that's where the dancing kind of came in. So the organizing to teach is stabilizing myself and getting that grounding so that I can actually do that is what I'm working on. So we won't be interrupted. I'm pushing through it at this time, but I want us to have a nice holistic therapeutic environment, when I'm teaching. I'm not playing if I have to teach, Okay. So how do you deal with people that are negative one day and nice the next? Do you ignore? And if you know, especially if you know they have ill feelings, I do deal with that. It depends on the way that I feel. when I first meet people, I treat them how I want to be treated. And then if I find that they're on some other thing, especially with this gang stalking stuff, I realize I don't owe any allegiance to people that are acting strangely. I need to take care of myself. Part of loving myself is loving the other person enough to leave them alone. If you want to act strange and like that, I'm going to ignore you. I'm going to leave you alone because I don't know what you're trying to do to me. And there's so many energy vampires. My energy is best used for those that I can respond to and with a more cheerful attitude. I want to, when it comes to universal law and corresponding frequencies, I'm giving my attention to like-minded spirits. Okay. And the rest of it, we no longer have to feel guilty, See that us empaths, we're so mushy gushy sometimes, and we can feel when, very aware and can feel when we may be ruffling somebody's feathers the wrong way. And I don't want that kind of energy coming my way. But I realize that, the rest of the world is on some other stuff. So I've got to toughen up. So if somebody's on some ill feelings, I need to be responsible for myself. And, I put up this wall where if they need something and it's important, I'm going to be able to hear you because you're going to directly talk to me and ask me what it is, what the blip you want. But if you're playing games, it's going to go over my head. I'm not going to see you. I'm going to act like I don't see you playing games. I don't see your disposition at all. She said that's exactly how I feel. She wanted my take on it. Yes, we're empaths. And we want to be sweet, but we need to take care of ourselves. Absolutely. And be honest, too. Like, I can be overly sensitive and get on some weird stuff and become just as agitating and irritating as the person who is deliberately doing it on purpose. Because I'm overstimulated, I'm still learning how to balance myself and pull back away from situations when I get overly stimulated, because then I'm counterproductive, and it's okay to see that I have limitations with certain things for now at this point. Yes, I'm an Aquarius. I'm a water sign. I was born on February 2nd, 1969. So Groundhog's Day is a very significant day for this planetary alignment and energy, and what I was called to do, and changing around the energy from what certain religious systems said that this energy that we have now was called to do versus what it's actually here to do. 69 energy, yeah. And the 11, life path 11. So, yeah, we had our first question. I thank my YouTube subscribers. Yay, you stuck with me and you know how dynamic this all is. And thank you. I have no idea how many times just to see if somebody even watched a video at this point. And while there's a lot of people waking up right now, So, yeah, we've been here. We'll be here. You're here. Much love to you and yours. I'm out. Thank you for joining me. Much love to you and yours.